to hear now.
Hi, I'm Bill McClendon, administrator and a pastor in the North Pacific Union. I'm thrilled to be with you today because I believe in evangelism. I believe in evangelism for a number of reasons, one of which has to do with the topic I've been asked to speak about. I've been asked to speak about reconnecting with our former members through evangelism. I've titled the presentation, Winning the Lost Again. There can be no question that the primary purpose of our church is to seek out the lost. On the first page of Acts of the Apostles, Ellen White tells us the primary purpose of the church and why it was organized was for this purpose. Every church has two sets of members. One, active and attend regularly and are connected to the church. Another, disconnected, inactive, no longer attending our worship services. We might be tempted to think that because they once were baptized and gave their life to Jesus and committed their lives to Him, that our responsibility is over for them. But oh, that is not true. Nothing could be further from the truth. In Luke 15, Jesus shares three stories of lost things: a lost coin, a lost sheep, and a lost son. These inform us of our responsibility to seek out the lost. Surely the story of the 99 and the one sheep teaches us that we can no longer just ignore members that are inactive, thinking, well, they had their chance and the choice is up to them. But have you ever asked the question, why have they stopped attending? There's a number of reasons, but I want to share a few as it relates to evangelism. Number one is this: some people stop coming from neglect. And I'm not talking about the neglect of the church. I'm talking about personal neglect. It happens so easy. You know, very few people wake up one day and say, I'm going to stop attending church. I'm going to become inactive. No, it starts with missing one Sabbath and then another. And that may not be that big a deal, but 2, 3, 4 weeks turn into months, and months turn into years. They still believe. They still, I believe, still have a heart for Jesus. But the pressures and the busyness of the world has crowded out spiritual things, and now they find themselves separated from the church. It's hard to come back when you've been gone a long time. The second group are those that have lost the battle with sin. You know, I remember when I was baptized, I told Jesus I would never sin again. I loved Him that much, and I was serious. But it didn't take very long to realize that the battle of sin isn't over when we give our life to Jesus. And for many people that fall into temptation and sin overwhelms them, they don't want to come to church. They feel like a hypocrite. They feel people will judge them. And so they stop attending. With sin in your life, it's hard to come back to church. The third group that I'd like to talk to you about are those that have been hurt. You know, we do our best, but families fight sometimes. And I can't count the number of times people have stopped attending church because of some member or some pastor or administrator. You know, we need to remind people, never judge God by His people, His pastors, or even the church. People will let you down. And for many people that have been hurt, they turn that towards God and say, I am not going to go to a church with people like that. Once you make that decision and time passes, even though those people are long gone, it's hard to come back. You know, I call it an undefinable twinge. What must it be like on a Sabbath morning for people who once worshiped every Sabbath, connected to church, loved to sing and pray and study the Bible? What goes through their hearts on that Sabbath morning as they lay in bed thinking about what they're going to do that day. Or maybe it's driving down the street and passing a Seventh-day Adventist church, and their head just swivels. They can't help but to look upon the church, to see if they might recognize somebody, to see what God's people are doing that day. Or when they go to a mailbox and they pick up a handbill for an evangelistic meeting, where a church is inviting people from their community to come and study the wonderful prophecies of the Bible. What is that twinge, that undefinable feeling that they must have, that they belong somewhere? I believe it's the Holy Spirit. Friends, evangelism, let me say it this way, that wins people to the faith renews people to the faith. As a pastor that's done a lot of evangelism, I can tell you that many times these are the events that the Holy Spirit will use to reach out to people who were once a part of our church family. It's easier to come into church, slip in with a crowd, come in the evening, and slowly get back into attending church without having to face greeters at the door wondering where you've been for all these years. I want to encourage you, when you're planning your evangelism, don't forget this crowd. Here are just some very simple, easy steps to take. Number one is this: go through the membership rolls. Ask the question, where are they? Are they still within our community? And if they are, write their name on a list. Take that list and give it to your prayer ministry team. Ask them to pray daily for the Holy Spirit to work and to warm the hearts of these individuals. Pray for divine appointments. You know, those Walmart encounters or the grocery store or wherever it might be. You'll be amazed at what God will do to begin to soften their hearts. Ask your elders to visit them 10 days before the evangelistic meeting with a handbill in hand, inviting them not to come to church, but to come to the evangelistic meeting. Mail to them separately from your community mailing. They probably get a handbill just from the mass advertising, but send another one. Every time they get an invitation or they see a handbill, it's another opportunity for the Holy Spirit to work. And pray. Pray for them. Pray that God will work on their hearts and will lead them back. I want to close with a story. It was the last church that I pastored. It didn't take very long after arriving at the church to get things organized and begin to lead the church in the activity of evangelism. And I had been there for probably about 2 years, so I had done 2 evangelistic meetings per year. It was in one of these meetings after the first few nights that I began to go through the crowd before the meeting, going pew by pew, introducing myself, and finding out who they were. I'll never forget coming across this lady, very well dressed, sitting by herself. I said, "Hi, I'm Bill. I just wanted to welcome you to the seminar. Can you tell me, how did you find out about the seminar?" I'll never forget her response. Her response was, "I was fine till you got here." I was taken aback. I mean, what a response. There had to be a story. Fortunately, I had a few minutes, and so I said, "Really? Tell me more." She said, "I've been getting these handbills for the last couple years. You see, I was raised a Seventh-day Adventist. I attended schools. I attended church. I went to an Adventist university. I even began to work for an Adventist hospital. And everything in her life was great. She loved her job. But something happened. I never found out the details. Something that probably shouldn't have happened. But it hurt her. It hurt her deeply. And she made a decision to not only, after leaving that job, but to leave the church, swearing that she would never again return. I could see a tear rolling down her cheek. I said, "How long has it been?" It had been over 35 years. All I could say to her was, "Welcome home." For 35 years, she drove past the Adventist church. For 35 years, she never darkened the doors of the church, but a handbill. Not just one, not just two. It took several, but she was there. As the meetings progressed, her heart was won by God's grace, and she was baptized. In one of the following meetings, her husband was baptized. How did it happen? It happened because the church believed in public evangelism. Don't neglect to expect and to pray for God to use your evangelistic meeting to lead many sons and daughters back home. God bless you.